Okay, hello everybody. It is, what is it? It's November 15th there. So just got back. I literally just rolled in from my cruise here. So out on the high seas, back from Mexico. So anyway, like I said, this is going to be pretty much a Q&A call. I didn't have time to prep anything being out there. I saw that Gregory had sent something through. I haven't had a chance to read through that and see what that's all about yet, but if you want to ask away on here, that's okay.
I can nutshell that.
Sure, go for it.
Okay. We have the American Disabilities Act.
Okay.
And there's been a lot of activists going around. I've even seen them in my own neighborhood where someone with a wheelchair will go up and start taking pictures of the entrance and the store aisles and all that fun stuff. Well, apparently there is a law company who is in the spearhead front of this, and now they're going after major websites. So they're claiming that the Disabilities Act applies to websites who are not designed or well structured for disability people. And so far they've been going after big companies. In the article, they name a few. Mm-hmm. But my question and my concern and bring forward to you is that when they get done after taking down the majors and they go after now the middle people, how does we mom and pops protect ourselves from these people when our businesses start growing and now we have a few $100,000 or even $1 million in the bank, and they come to our website and said, and the whole thing is that the gist of the article and in closing up in the statement is that it's not so much about getting the websites to be cognizant of disabilities, but more about this law firm and a bogus person, which they have not been able to find, who is the name in the lawsuits of collecting thousands of dollars for complying with the act.
Sure. Most of that, the internet is loaded with scam artists. So just know that right out of the gate. There are a couple of big law firms that have gone after and made examples of some of the bigger companies, because the Disabilities Act, it's a pretty serious deal. They're very serious about equal rights and all of that for the disabled. That on the internet is not a new thing. Yahoo, that was part of Yahoo's criteria for an optimized site, was to have it ADA compliant. The biggest thing to making a website ADA compliant is simply having alt tags on your images and your media files, so when a blind person rolls over that, they can read what it is. So images that are just not named, or named like whatever JPEG 0001, they don't know what that is because they can't see it. And the ADA, they're claiming that that's not fair, that people that have sight can actually see a different experience, and the people that are blind, they can't see that, so you're crippling them or disabling them further. So that's kind of the big issue. So it's really easy to fix that, and it is part of optimization. That's one thing that Google likes to see, is they like to see alt tags on your images, because that makes you ADA compliant. As far as those companies going after the little guys, I don't really see that as being a viable thing. Yes, they're activists. The big ones they're activists, and they want to make an example so they can prove a point and send a message to the rest of the world. So that's why they're going after the deep pocket guys. After that, there is that whole realm of con artistry. So there's probably some little guys that are going to fire out 1 million emails to people like us saying, we've identified your site as non-compliance, and here's a fee if you don't want us to sue you. And if you get one of those, I'd just throw it in the trash and tell them to pack sand, because that's that's where they belong. They belong in the sand, those kind of people. I get those all the time on, copyright infringement and you name it. And I've seen those. Now, if you use, like, let's say Getty is a perfect example of somebody that goes after people for using their images. And they have every right to, because they have those images copyrighted and they sell them. So you can't just steal their images and use them. But I'll give you another example of one that I had come after me. Some years back, I got permission to use someone's privacy policies. And I believe it was Frank Kern. And, it was either him or Mike Filsame or one of these guys. They said, we paid a bunch of money to this law firm to create this, and it's ours, and you can use it. So I know a ton of us use those forms, those privacy policies, terms and conditions. And at one point, I get this letter from this attorney in Florida saying that I had stolen his copyrighted materials, and he wanted like $3,500, or he was going to sue me, and all of this stuff. And I basically responded back telling him that this was acquired through a permitted usage from somebody that he made it for. If he wasn't happy with that, I would just remove it, but I wasn't paying him a dime because it wasn't worth $3,500. And I never heard anything from him. Again, it was just a scam. It was just, let's see how many people we can get to just give up $3,500. And I'm sure he got a bunch of people, because the average person that's not used to business gets a letter like that and they freak out. I'm used to seeing that kind of stuff because, all the clients I have, you wouldn't believe the crap that they all get, and they send it all to me to look at. So I've pretty well seen it all. And so, yeah, anyway, anytime you're dealing with a law firm, they're just ridiculous on their claims and their terrorist demands. And, they really pull on people's heartstrings and their unknowingness. They see that from an attorney and they think it's like a doctor. When a doctor tells you something, you think, hey, this is a doctor. I trust him. This is what he says. This is what it is. So they have that thing where they're put on a pedestal like that for a lot of people that aren't used to them. Once you have any interaction with them, you'll know what a bunch of crooks they are. So watch out for them. That's a pretty generic, broad stroke there, calling them all crooks. But I've just had my fair share of that kind of stuff, and I'm just fed up with it. So anyway, that's kind of my 2 cents on the matter.
John, I'm a lawyer, actually. I have a law degree, but I never practiced. I went into business. So don't hold it against me.
Well, I apologize for any offense taken, but
well, you're not the first person,
it's like, if you can get somebody you trust, it's awesome. But you got all these guys that, they take that and they use the legalese to manipulate people. And it's no different than marketers. Marketers do the same thing, and doctors do the same thing. So, but anyway, yeah, that, just be careful. Like, if you get that kind of stuff, don't take it at face value. It's like people that go in debt. They think there's a debtor's prison. There's not a debtor's prison. They're not going to come get you. So anyway, Gregory, the easy answer to it is just make your sites, make sure they're ADA compliant, put your tags in there. If you've got other files other than image files that are unreadable, make sure they have the tags to them. Video files, you can put tags in there. Anywhere you can put alt tags, put them in so the blind can see.
John, can I jump in with a question?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. For my, one of my businesses from a few years ago is still going, the male enhancement pill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I also have another business for a women's weight loss pill. So they're both high-risk businesses. And the past couple of weeks, my biggest problem lately is trying to drive enough traffic, more traffic to these sites, because the PBN that I've had for a couple of years, the visitors have been dwindling. And I think it's because the backlinks that I had are not as effective as they've been in the past. And you've talked about this.
Yes.
Because if people aren't clicking on them,
Mm-hmm.
like you could throw up 1 million backlinks in the past. So I've been looking to advertising, as another way to drive up the traffic. In the past week, I went back to Google AdWords, not my favorite company, Google, and I've had I think, we've talked about this in the past, a whole history with their getting ads approved. They would approve my site, they'd approve the ads, and then 2 weeks later, they suspend your account. They want you to change words. then you change it, and then 2 or 3 months later, they do it again. In the past week, I went back to them and I tried to get ads approved for a PBN from Google. They suspended the account. And I don't have to go into it was some kind of a crazy reasoning. I asked them what the evidence was. They said that there was something wrong with the credit. First, they said the ads, there was a problem with the ads. Then I said, can you give me more details? Then they said there was a problem with the credit card, my credit card, which I don't know how they came up with this, because I got this credit card a couple of months ago. It's a DBA. And I think you were the first person that introduced me to this, the idea of business trade names, which are widely used. So I couldn't understand, where they were coming from. I asked them, to give me some evidence so I could fix the situation. And they said that, don't respond. We've made our decision. Your account is suspended. Bing, the same thing. They didn't want to approve an ads account because of, and this was both were for the male enhancement pill.
Yes.
So it looks like, going down that avenue of advertising on search, there's a lot of problems. And I think you were talking a couple of weeks ago, I was watching one of the replays. Another a woman in the club here had an energy pill, and she was trying to do something with Google and get it approved. And identical products were approved with similar ads were already approved. And she was asking them, well, why can't you approve mine? It's the same thing, things that make no sense. So going down with Google and Bing, it seems like a lost cause. So my question, what other ad networks, AdRoll doesn't want to take the pill?
Yeah.
What ideas do you have for advertising, John, at this point? I'm looking at adult sites, but I'd also like to have more mainstream.
Sure, absolutely. I've got in the one that you were mentioning, I think that's Mary Sue that just hopped on here.
Right.
I don't think you're alone. I think this has to do with a lot of health products where there's any kind of health claims. I don't think it's specifically the type of supplements. I think they do this with a lot of supplements. One thing that I would recommend is if you're sending your landing page to something that actually sells the supplement, that's probably more than likely the problem. What I would do is I would not sell from the landing page. I would try and take them to a page where you're going to educate them on the product, not have anything at all for sale, not even talk about a product, talk about a problem or a symptom or something like that, give them a free ebook or something, take them from the ebook to a webinar, educate them on the fact that, you know, you have the solution, and then make the offer from there. I think if you put those layers of installation in there, your conversion's probably going to go up for one thing, and I don't think they're going to see it as that much of a problem.
Yeah, the past week though, these two sites were both PBMs. They were not sales pages. They weren't the money site, and they still. So you're saying try Google and Bing again? I mean, if it's
Hey, John, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. This is the other Anthony. Anthony, I'll connect you two guys here.
Hey, Anthony, namesake. A couple of things. There's a couple of different factors. I mean, I do paid traffic, and I primarily do Facebook, but I do this Google, Bing, and the other display networks. So a couple of things that there may not be necessarily one piece or factor that's doing it. There may be a couple of things. One of the things we find is we get away with a lot more stuff because our accounts are aged. We've been doing it for a longer time, so we can get away with stuff. And we got a history of a lot of good stuff. So when we do an ad that's a little too pushy and they push back, it's kind of measured against, okay, you've done it 90% of the time correct, so here's one bad one, we'll give you one. So we get a lot of flexibility because of that functionality too. Another part of it, John kind of mentioned to it, is we have gone away. We still go to some landing page, but your landing page, like John says, it's got to be very vanilla. It's got a lot of stuff, you know, no promises and stuff like that. So that's harder to do and get pushed by. So we switch it to the education-based page. So we'll pick a problem. So like for male enhancement, you know, I got a client that's kind of in that space, as a matter of fact, and we push people to a page that talks about confidence. Do you lack confidence in your life with women and stuff like that? And then the call to action is, if you want to learn how to increase your confidence, click here. So we haven't talked about what's going to fix, you know, the male enhancement at all. It's not really mentioned. We're talking about a problem you have, and then once you click through and get to that, now you're going to get introduced to what fixes the problem. But we went after the problems and the issues, confidence, and some other ones we also went after. There's a lot of other display networks. There's a lot of networks out there. One we use is called Traffic Junkie. That one's adult level because my client is actually in adult products and stuff like that. He sells a penis enhancer, a penis enlargement product. So we use Traffic Junkie. They have their own sites, their own, if you will, PBM type of sites that they actually run their ads on. One's like Pornhub and a couple of the other ones. So they're pretty good size and let you do, you know, couples, gay, non-gay, all kinds of different. So it's a lot of flexibility. So we have that one. And then there's two other traffic networks we do out there. John, you're familiar with one of them, Traffic Oxygen. And they will do some stuff. Again, your key is going to be, you're going to position this as, you know, fixing a problem. And this is part of ACT too. Again, if you run through ACT, you're not going to be trying this. You're going to have your angles, your big ideas. And so you send people to your big idea page, and they kind of follow through that process and get to that. But what I was going to offer you too, Anthony, is if you don't mind sharing with us, send to maybe me and John some of the stuff you've been doing. Maybe I can look at the ads and or the landing pages and maybe say, okay, let's adjust this, and you know, a little bit from the experiences we have. We also have access to a couple of different reps, so I can always run things by them and say, here's what I'm thinking about doing. Tell me how to get this through your system. And they're very good about doing that because they want the money.
Yeah, thank you. Interesting, thanks.
And same for Mary Sue too. I heard John say she has a product like that too. So again, the offer is to all you guys out there. If you like, and I'm volunteering John's time, but I know he does it too. You know, wants to look at your ads and stuff like that, and kind of see where we can make some, you know, suggest some things that may get them passed on some different networks. You know, we'd love to do that for you guys. That's part of being in the group here.
Yeah, I'll get your email. Thank you.
Yeah, anything that'll help you guys for sure. The other thing I wanted to hit on, just touch on too, is the fact that the PBMs and are going down, and the why about why they're going down. What Google is really relying on now is RankBrain. RankBrain is their artificial intelligence, And it's not just looking at your site. It's looking at where the traffic's coming from. It doesn't see just traffic coming through itself. It sees all traffic going to your site. If somebody is using a web browser, it's feeding that information to them. Whether they're using Chrome or Google Analytics, none of that stuff matters, because it's any web browser. They are in control of the safe web browsing. So no matter where your traffic's coming from, they're seeing that volume of traffic. They're seeing everything about it through that safe web browsing mechanism, which is kind of scary, but it just is. You know, it is what it is. The only people that are not transmitting that information is people that have literally gone into the settings and turned safe web browsing off. They've been collecting that information since 2006. They are now really relying on it to figure out who belongs at the top of the search. So, like I said, not only do they know who's on your site, they know where they came from too, even if they didn't go through Google. So if you've got a bunch of links out there and you're still doing link building campaigns that don't have the traffic on them, or have traffic on them and it's not the right traffic, you could literally be hurting your organic results because of that. Because let's just, you know, I'll give you an example. A guy that's got a website and he's got 10 links on really relevant sites that people actually click on and come to his site and give it a good user experience, those are looked at as very strong. The guy right next to him, same content, same everything, looks like he's a lot better optimized because he's got 10,000 incoming links. Problem is, no one's clicking on him. That's a bad sign. That's almost like a high bounce rate. To have a low click-through rate, it's the same thing. In fact, it may even be worse, because the bounce rate, that means at least they got there. Somebody clicked. So if you're not getting the click-through, they're looking at that as exposures. Like when Google exposes you to the world, they're putting you on their first page. They're giving you exposure, and they're measuring the result through the click-through. So all things stand to reason that they would be doing that for those PBMs and for those sites where all your links are. So if you're having a low click-through ratio, that could be sending bad signals. So that's something that you guys want to be careful of. If you're still doing the old-fashioned link building, if you're still building PBMs, PBMs could still be great if they've got the right traffic on them and you're putting the right offers on them and the traffic is passing through. They're still very strong. Any site at all that can give you traffic is a good thing for optimization. So that includes paid traffic. That includes mail drops. The guys at Digital Marketer, they're still, I talked to Perry, they're still doing mail drops. They are driving traffic out of nowhere onto their sites. And they get really good rankings because of that. I have seen them rank pages in very competitive keywords with literally 0 links. It's all from flooding traffic to a page. They do it with their mailing lists. They do it with their mail drops. They do it with paid advertising.
John, when you say mail drops, do you mean direct mail?
Mail drops is like somebody that's going to do a bulk emailing for you.
Okay.
And they come in several different flavors. There's people that have mailing lists. You can buy a mail drop through somebody that has like a monthly newsletter. And sometimes what they'll do is they'll offer for a certain price, they'll send a special email out to their whole community just for you. Like, you know, it's almost like a promotional thing. And some of them will do it on an affiliate basis. Like if you find influencers, that's some of the hottest stuff in link building right now, is finding influencers that will actually promote you. Because what they'll do, they'll put a special page up on their site, and then they will drive their community to that page to click through. And they'll promote it. They'll tell them to go there. They'll tell them what they're going to get. They'll tell them why to go, why to click, all that. That, in my opinion, is like the best link building on the planet right now. So if you can find influencers, I'm going to do another one probably next week. I'll see if I can fit this into next week. I'll do another training on how to use the Influencer Spy program. So you can see exactly how to do the process, how to go in and find those influencers and connect with them and get them to promote you. You know, sometimes they'll want to do it on an affiliate basis. Sometimes they'll just do it on a paid basis. I've been out of the bulk mail industry and arena for a very long time, but I've got a couple of clients right now that are swaying me back into it. And I've found recently a provider that I'm in the middle of testing right now. So what they do, I told them, I go, I do not want any of this stuff attached to me at all. So what they're doing is they're treating it just as lead gen for me. So they've got offshore accounts, they've got offshore mailings, they've got offshore websites, all on fireproof servers, nothing connected to me. So what we're doing, we're putting big ideas out there and lead magnets just to collect lists of people that are interested in something. And then after the the cooling down period to make sure there's nobody hot in the group, then we'll take that list and I'll transition them over and I'll send them something through my Kartra system. But until then, until I'm convinced that there is no hostiles in the crowd, they're not coming over onto my Kartra account. So anyway, I will keep you guys informed like everything else. You know, I test a lot of stuff and you guys only hear really about the good stuff. You know, there's 50 to 1 that I'll never even speak of because it's not worth speaking about. But this one, I've checked these guys out. They know what they're doing, and now it's just a matter of, are they going to do it for me? So if they do, I will let you guys know, and I'll get you that connection, because that could be a good one for you as well. And it's fairly inexpensive at this point. There was a while where, you know, setting up the bulk email and all that, doing it correctly was pretty costly just because of all the firewalls that you had to go through. So anyway, I'll keep you posted on that. But link building, you know, treat the link building differently now, because it is differently. It's getting valued differently. It's not just having a bunch of links anymore. It's about having a bunch of traffic. Traffic has trumped link building. You know, wherever it comes from, whether you're building PBMs or buying links or building links or, you know, Web 2.0 networks, whatever they are, if they're not relevant, it's iffy whether they're worth their weight of actually doing it or not. So keep that in mind, you know, as you're doing what you do for your standard SEO processes. All right. Any other questions or?
If nobody has questions, John, I'm gonna add on to what you were talking about last week on Interest Explorer. So I'll wait if anybody's got a question. If not, I got some add-on information to go with that.
Okay, sure. Anybody want to hop in, or should we cut the Ant-Man loose there? He's got his Batman cap on. He's ready to go. That's the caped converter right there. If you guys don't know him, he runs traffic for a lot of our commercial accounts and stuff, and really good at the Facebook stuff.
This is my serious. When I got the hat on, it's a serious moment. So
that's it.
I'm sorry, guys. I missed last week on the call when John was going over, but I had a chance to take a look at the video of what he talked about and stuff. And I wanted to add a couple of things to you guys. And again, I know sometimes you're not all ready for it, but when you're ready, you'll know. And I know Rustin asked a question last week too that I'm gonna try to answer a little more. First of all, the tool is a great opportunity because I've been doing that for a long time manually. And to put in perspective, you know, I would go in there, find, let's say Frank Kern. I find all the people that like Frank Kern. I have to go to each and every Facebook page and start, you know, compiling a list of the different pages that like it and manually building that. And you can imagine that with 1 or 2 clients, it really sucks. So more than one, it sucks. And then Facebook gets slow and all that. So having access to this tool speeds up the process incredibly, and it is just a great thing. And also to John's point last week, you know, we're built upon finding ideas. Another way I used it, John, was, again, I started the game with you in SEO. So I take a keyword list from that I would normally do an SEO campaign on and dump those in there. And you're just trying to find, again, like John said, these different interest groups that are not there. I can tell you factually, guys, when you're competing, Facebook ads and all the other platforms, they're bid-based, they're auction-based. So if you're targeting the same thing, you're competing with people, and probably people with deeper pockets at the moment than we might have. So why do that? Why not go out there? And that's kind of, again, part of the ACT training of finding those different opportunities that nobody's looking at. So it does dramatically lower your costs when you're going after some of these less defined, less attacked interests. Now, there's other parts that go with it too to make it work. So you really, that tool is a good starting point. Rustin has asked the question, okay, you download the CSV and what do you do with that? So we do a process called layering. And what we do with layering, and let me give you the background of why. Let's say you sell, I know, Anthony, you sell an enhancement product and stuff like that, or you said weight loss. But let's say you sell a product and you want to go after people that like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, the problem with just going after people that like Arnold Schwarzenegger is you don't know which version of Arnold they like. There can be people that like Arnold because he was a bodybuilder. There could be people that like Arnold because he was an actor, and there's people that could like Arnold because he's a politician, political base. So by just saying I want to go after people that like Arnold, you're going to get people that are going two of those groups of people are not going to be applicable to what you're doing. So we layer. We'll say, okay, we want people to like Arnold, and then we'll say like Jack LaLanne and other people in that niche. So you've got to like not just Arnold, but other bodybuilders or weightlifters or weight loss, other people in that niche, because then you're more serious. And we're using that to weed out. So that's one layer we'll create, which will be like all the people. Then the second layer we'll create will be more along the interest. So we'll say layer one, you can like Arnold, Jack LaLanne, Jillian Michaels. I don't know people in the weight space, but those people. Second layer, people that like bodybuilding, they like gyms, they like Gold's Gym, Fitness Gym. And then the third layer we'll actually add is we'll add on there some of the demographical type of stuff, the age brackets, male and female type of stuff, where they live, all these different other parameters. So we have 3 different layers, and to qualify out as someone to see one of our ads, you've got to be in one of all 3 of the layers, like the interest of the bodybuilders, one of the names, like some, gym weight equipment, stuff like that, and then some of the demographic information. So that way we're getting the best qualified individual. And it's basically ACT. We're just basically narrow down ACT, but we do it inside of Facebook in terms of layers. So when you export that list of big options out, we go in there and we start moving them around and putting them in layers. So in the IM space, we might like Brandon Bouchard, Ryan Dice, Frank Kern. And so all these people have their little bit of audiences, and that audience builds up. But then they got to also like sales or online sales or whatever we're going after. And then they got to have this other qualifier. So that's a way that you can use that tool to get your big list. Then you layer it, and now you're going to get a really defined, what we like to say is this is the most passionate prospect, because he's a part of 3 different separate types of interests that all build up to the one person, to what you're trying to track. So does that make some sense, guys? I know I'm talking fast and stuff, and I don't have nothing to show you right now, but does that make sense a little bit? So that's a big piece of what we do. And then the third part of it, again, is when you start these campaigns, I've said it before, put the pixel on and let Facebook start collecting data on who is your conversion, who's the person at the end. And other platforms actually do offer the ability to track conversions, do conversion campaigns too. So I say Facebook because we primarily spend the most of our time there, but the other platforms do it too. So you want to track people. So now what's going to happen is that second wave of ads you run, the first wave you run into these people that it's a broader list. Now some people have bought your product or signed up or taken the action you want. They verified to Facebook and the other platforms that this is the ideal individual you want. Now you run some campaigns and you build the lookalike audience and run campaigns specific to that. So now Facebook has done the heavy lifting, and they're identifying more people in their database that fit the conversion, the conversion profile that you just created using the existing list you start off with that you create an ACT. So do you see the follow-up, the process, how it follows through and stuff? So I just want to say, you know, that tool saves a lot of hours of time in building those. We probably create 50 to 75 different interests when we start off. We separate them in, you know, again, groups of 3. And it makes a world of difference in getting that little bit of extra. Now, the last thing, and you know, we'll have to definitely do, John, some training if people want to learn how to do this step of it, is when we put all those groups in, not all those groups are effective. And there is a way you can see which ones, where the action's coming from. So you put in Brandon Bouchard, Ryan Dice, Frank Kern, and you see people are not clicking on Frank Kern. There's a way to shut him off as an interest and just leave the ones that are actually people are coming from in. So you actually, again, clean up your interest list by the ones that are inactive. And by keeping the ones that are active, again, you're getting the best quality flow at the end of this process, if you will.
I have that's awesome. I have a question for you too. That I don't run a lot of Facebook ads myself. Anthony pretty much does all the heavy lifting on the Facebook side. But anyway, what I've been hearing from other people is the conversion pixels are being blocked by a lot of the web browsers now. So I'm wondering if the effectiveness of letting Facebook do the heavy lifting, if you're sending them to landing pages that you're trying to track the conversion pixel with, are we better off to do the in-site Facebook ads where they can track the pixel because it's on their site, or are we still good to send them off to our own landing pages?
It's a case of people can kind of scare you, like when they keep saying SEO is dead.
Yeah.
It is not as impactful as people will tell you it is doing. So it is not impacting just yet. And Facebook over the last 2 months have been changing their algorithm to not their algorithm, their actual process of pixeling to get around that. So Facebook knows that this is a problem. They know people are blocking them. For the last couple of months, they've been working at it and making some adjustments and changes. So factually, the campaigns we've run, we have not seen a big drop or any change really in them being blocked from it. And our Facebook rep keeps me up to date as to, you know, what new things they're doing and where they're based. Last time they were doing some different stuff with cookies and some different things on people's things to get past it. So they're working on it.
Yeah, because the technology's there. Steelhouse, all the retargeting technology, I know it's there. They might just be a little behind. So that's actually good, enlightening news for me because I love my own landing pages.
You know, and that's, again, they know where the money's coming from. They know that we want this, and if they lose the ability to do this, we're going to, you know, drop them like a hot spud. So yeah, they've been working on it.
Very, very cool. So yeah, that when I saw that, like I said, you know, I go through a ton of tools, and when I saw what that particular one does, you know, I know any of you guys that have followed me for any time know how I feel about automation. And whenever I can get a hold of a tool that automates a process that's viable, I'm all over that. So that's where that came from.
It really finds some stuff, again, like you said, when you really look at it and go through it, it finds these niches that you never thought of, like you did the thyroid and you pituitary. It just finds stuff that again, it reminds me of doing the SEO keyword research, you know, that type of thing, where you look for that specific, those ones that nobody's targeting, and you just jump all over them with, you know, with a passion. And that's what it really does. And like I say, guys, I do it manually. I've been doing it manually for like 1.5 years, and it sucks, man. It really does. So
yeah, just like keyword research, it always has. There's nothing fun about it. But I tell you what, it can doing really good research can make the difference. I mean, it can make you or break you. If you guys are doing no research or shoddy research on the front end, it's going to hurt you in a lot of different ways. For one, it's going to hurt you in the cost of your ads, you know, and another, it's going to hurt you in the cost of your conversions, which is even worse, you know, because that's going to hurt you in the ad costs as well, but it's also going to hurt you in the search, in the organic search. If you do stuff that really converts, Google's going to see that and reward you for it. Facebook's also going to see it and reward you for it. You know, when you provide quality stuff, they want to make your life easier. You know, they want to get rid of all the junk, all the garbage, and they're very serious about it. Anybody that is running any kind of an ad network is very serious about their reputation, and they're very serious about protecting their empire. So if you're in tune with that, you're going to be on the right side of the fence. If you're not in tune with that, life is going to be difficult. It's going to be a struggle. So, you know, if you've identified, like Anthony, I know in your case you've identified clearly they don't like your products. Not that the world doesn't like them and they don't need them. They don't care about that. For whatever reason, political, religious, whatever, you know, they dance lightly on a lot of different categories. So if you can just make a better mousetrap, get people into an education-based system and educate them on a symptom, a problem, something of that nature, I think you'll probably find that you'll do a lot better, and you'll make them a lot happier. And like the other Anthony, the Ant-Man over there, like what he was saying, working with a rep inside can actually give you a lot of leverage. You know, I don't know, you know, if you're running enough ads to get their attention yet, but you might, like he said, you know, he offered he can talk to his rep about, you know, the best way to go about that for you and see if he can help you with that.
Yeah, if you guys want to put together like a series of questions or something, you know, because sometimes I don't have my questions. So put together a series of questions. I will more than happy put his feet to the fire and say, you know, fess up, because he wants more money. He wants you to send, you know, put more campaigns in the fire. So he's got to make that work for me. Yeah,
I tried it in the past. I don't think I had a high level rep because I wasn't spending, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I did have a rep. And she said there was nothing she could do because there was an account suspension, and she said, I can't do anything. But yet you have these other products that are basically identical to mine. And I'm very careful about claims, FTC claims, FDA claims. I'm very careful. I have a merchant account. That's another thing. And they will vet the websites. They vet my sites. And if I have claims on a site, a merchant account isn't going to approve it. So the claims aren't there. I'll show you guys, I'll send you the links, John and Anthony. I'll get your email, Anthony. And you tell me what you think. But yeah, I'll keep it in mind, the education angle you're talking about, to take a step back.
It works really good. But the other thing also, guys, is the current environment. Facebook is under a lot of heat from a lot of people for all kinds of stuff. So they, like all big companies, they kind of take some big drastic steps real quick and to appease the politicians and stuff, and then they come back and they loosen up again. So I've seen them, and actually I just recently seen Google. They're going after even accounts that aren't as active. If you're not even active there, you know, I create some dummy accounts that I need just in case somebody gets banned. And they were trying to whack those. They're like, you're not using them. Like, that's not your choice. You can't control that. But that's just because they're under these pressure for these fake accounts. So if you got an account and it's not very active, they deem that, oh, all of a sudden this could be one of those fake accounts, and they're trying to close. So we're getting victimized by the trouble they're in, and they're in the trouble because, you know, of our current political climate, where, you know, an election and every damn social media is giving fake news and fake accounting and stuff like that. So we got to, again, this is one of those from the SEO world. You ride it out. We're just going to ride this thing out. They keep making public statements, and then behind the scenes they kind of really don't change a whole lot. You know, but they tell the public, yeah, we're doing this and we're doing this, and then you kind of look and it's like, okay, it's still not, it's still, you know, so.
Yeah, you know, I just ran a search in Google, and there is paid ads for stuff relating to ED.
Huge.
And top 10, there's like top 10 lists, there's reviews. It's not direct sell stuff, What I might do is, if you wrote like a little pamphlet about, you know, the truth about ED, and distributed that, you might actually be able to get it on Amazon too. You could put it into an ebook form and sell it on Amazon as a lead generator. And I don't know if you've tried anything like that.
Yeah, I'm wary about, you're talking about the product on Amazon or an education?
No, just the book. Like write a little 10-page, you know, ebook on the truth about ED.
Right.
And then, you know, you can sell it for 99 cents, but on the cover, just put your website address on the cover, and it'll show up on Amazon, and they'll see that. They'll just go type it in.
Yeah.
They won't buy the book. They'll just go type it in and see what's on the website.
Yeah.
And
now, again, because I'm kind of in that niche, be careful about no medical terms with the ED side. That's the one that's getting the folks when they get all medically about it. So, because, you know, there arguably there's no approval for all this and some approval and all this different stuff. So just leave that wording out. And like I say, just talk about ED and what it does to the person. You know, you can say ED may cause you not to eat well. Like I say, for us, we went after the lack of confidence. You know, and other angles that ED affects your life indirectly. Yeah. You know, go after that stuff.
Yeah, that whole confidence strain going through that, you know, it can affect your work performance, your sleep, your worry, your anxiety, all kinds of stuff. You know, you could potentially do that as an education-based thing, and then you can lead them into a webinar. And you can take it even further in a webinar, and you just stack up the, you know, all the things that it's causing them and it's costing them and all that. And by the end of it, they're going to want to fix it, and they're not going to care how much it costs.
Yeah.
That might be a really good, you know, it's leaning more on really good marketing to sell the product, and Google loves really good marketing.
Yeah, I have another question, John. One of the sites, it's a news site, and I tried to buy advertising last week, and it hits the demographic over 50, men over 50. And they already have these natural pills for sexual enhancement on the site, already advertising. I said, can you please give me your rates? They responded, they said, everything looks good. Your landing pages. We can't sell you advertising because the person who's advertising with us has an advertising exclusive, and they mentioned your brand. This guy mentioned my brand as
as a competitor.
Yeah. What would you do there, John? Is there negotiating leeway with that, or is that he's got a lock on that site?
It depends. He probably has it under contract, but that's where finding the influencers is going to be really good for you, because you might be able to find influencers that don't have an advertiser, and you can lock that in just like what he did.
Okay.
You know, the influencers, what they do is they go out and they become an advocate for something. And they get a big following, and their intention is to sell advertising. That's their real intention. A lot of them don't even have their own products. They're just an advocate for, you know, whatever. There's millions of them. They're in every niche. It's like the whole thing about blogging. Everybody got the idea that, hey, I can make a blog, I can be a leader, people follow me, and, you know, I can make money with that. Well, that's how they make the money. The problem is most of them, they do the work, they get the following, but then they don't know how to turn it into cash. So you show up on their doorstep and you're like their savior. So that's a really good way to go. I mean, it's a perfect match. They've got what you want, you've got what they want. So it's a really good way to go about it. All right. Oh, and I was going to tell you too, I have living proof that your product is in high demand, because when we stopped into Mexico, there was a line around the pharmacy. They had the little blue pill guy with the Superman cape on, and there was a line around the building.
There you go.
So I got a little living proof for you there.
Yeah, well, as long as you had a good time, you know.
Oh, it was awesome.
It's actually snowing out here here on the East Coast. First snowstorm.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So you had some nice weather, I guess, in Mexico.
Yeah, I can't believe we were all sitting out on the balconies, and we couldn't believe it's like the middle of November. And it's like 75 degrees. It was perfect. Really, really great weather. All right. Anybody else got any looming issues or stuff? Go ahead, Gregory.
I have a celebration.
All right, let's hear it.
Well, you know, I started the family training account with real money in August.
Yeah.
August 6th. And we applied the rules, of course, for trading, and of course they're learning. And the account, we started with 5,200, and the account closed this morning at 9,200.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, for the last 30 days, that's spectacular, because I know a lot of people that lost money in the market over the last 30 days.
And that's also what we pulled $1,000 out in celebration for the family. So actually we closed at 10-2, but when I withdraw the money, I just say, you know, the real account, what it is. But that's just a little celebration that what does a 12-year-old know that you don't know that he's making money?
Yeah, well, see, that just added to your big idea right there. Because now it's not just a 12-year-old. It's now a 12-year-old that doubled his money while everyone else lost.
Ooh, got to write that one down.
Yeah, I mean, you want to collateralize all of that stuff. Anytime where you can turn that into big ideas, I mean, you guys, all of you, you want to become idea machines, because all of your, the more landing pages and the more angles that you have, angles of attack, Frank Kern calls it, they're big ideas. It's not a new concept. The more big ideas that you have, the more landing pages you'll create, the more ad campaigns you'll create. Your back-end product doesn't change. Your marketing funnel, your education-based marketing system doesn't change. You set that up one time, and then it's just a matter of how do you drive as many people to it as possible and still get the conversion. And that's done with big ideas. If you look at the Agura publishing guys, they publish these different ebooks, newsletters in like 3 different categories. They do over $1 billion in sales a year. And I can tell you, I know some of their copywriters, and I know the process that they hire the copywriters by. And what they do, they will employ as many copywriters as they can get. And the job of the copywriter is they have to come up with a big idea and the copy to go with it every 3 to 7 days. They have to have a new one or they lose their job. So think about that. Every 3 to 7 days, they're coming up with a new big idea for the same product and a full copy spread for it. So that's how they do $1 billion in sales a year, is their idea churners, their idea factories. And that's what you guys need to start thinking about. Anything that happens, whether it happens to you, for you, around you, take advantage of that. Like Gregory just threw out, he's got a 12-year-old kid or 12-year-old kids that are actually doing training and making money, and now he's got a live case study. So, before we were saying big idea is how a 12-year-old kid can follow a system and actually make money in the stock market. And this news just got better because I know for sure over the last 30 days, a lot of people went downhill, and here the 12-year-old kid went up, doubled his money. So that's huge. That is big news. That's a big idea people would want to know about. So when you talk about a hook that'll hook someone and pull them in, that's a great one. You guys should be so lucky to come across something that good.
Well, and here's something. We peaked at 12,004 the day before.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had the conference call, and then we all put in the elected for the tight stops, and that got us out at 10-2. And then,
Yeah.
of course, I said, hey, we take profit. Take $1,000 home. So, yeah. So, yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, kind of back on that whole big idea concept, some of the really smart copywriters, they all kind of say the same thing in a different way. And they say that the big ideas don't come from you. You don't come up with them. They come out of the market. They come out of the research. They come out of what's real outside of you. So if you're just sitting there trying to force it, and you're trying to force big ideas and they're not related to the research that you've done, it's really hard. And I can tell you this for sure because I've tried it. Every time I sit there and I try and force it, and I try and create something out of thin air, I never come up with anything really good. And it's always a really hard, laborious process. When you lean on the research, if you look at your ideal customer, you know, you do the research, you follow the ACT program, you find the most profitable segment of the market, and you take that guy, the guy that lives in that segment, and you look at what's he facing, how's he feeling, you know, what's he coming up, what's he waking up in the middle of the night thinking, and that's where your big ideas are going to come from. They come out of there. They don't come out of you. They come out of who you're selling to. It's, you know, if they're based on their problems and the things that are going on in their head or the things that you can activate, you know, a lot of times, depending on your product or service, they might not know they need it. They might not even know they have an issue. But if you can bring it into their awareness and then educate them to it, now they'll start seeing it. In NLP field, they call it reticular activation. And, you know, a perfect example of that is, you know, you buy a red VW and you drive it off the lot, and yesterday and previous to that, you don't ever recall seeing a red VW on the road. And now that you drive one, they're everywhere. Well, they didn't just drop them all on the road the same day. They were there. You just didn't see them. You know, and that's reticular activation. That works with your problems and things that are going on with you. Like Perry Belcher, he did a reticular activation campaign on nail biting. And, you know, there's all these nail biters, you know, I'm talking about somebody that literally chews on their fingernails. And they don't know they have a problem. They just do it. But then when he activated them to that's a problem, then they start seeing it. They start seeing how it's affecting them. You know, like people will notice if you're going to a job interview, he targeted that. He did a big idea around nail biters and job interviews. He said, you know, if you're sitting at the desk, when you pass your resume to them and they see you got chewed up nails, what are they going to think? You know, first impressions. And that was one of his big ideas. And all he did was, he said when you reticularly activated them to the nail biting, it wasn't a big enough problem. You had to bring it back around to them for 2 to 4 weeks before it really became a big problem. And the way he did that, it was brilliant. When they opted in to get his first thing, his ebook or whatever it was, he put them on a drip campaign that every week he'd send them a new email with the same subject line. And the subject line was, still biting your nails? ? And he said it was like the 7th to the 9th email is where he sold the product. So every week, still biting your nails? Still biting your nails? Still biting your nails. 7 to 9 times, and they hit gold. So when you can activate someone to a problem that they don't know that they have, they're not going to close immediately. You're going to have to stick with them. That's where drip campaigns really shine. And if you can bring useful information to them along the way and, you know, reinforce that that problem really is real and exists, and here's what you've got on the other side and it's easy to solve, that's a great marketing campaign. So that's what you guys want to try and start thinking of in your niches, in your markets. Look at first, who's your most profitable segment, and then get into their head, walk in their shoes, see what they're feeling. What are they seeing? What are they hearing? Do they have problems they're not even aware of? Can you tap into that? Anywhere you can get the hook in to start your campaign, that should be your whole purpose in life at this point. So, all right, guys, hey, we've kind of hit our hour. Anything else? I'm happy to keep going. Otherwise, we'll cut out and hit you next week. All right.
Okay. I was gonna say something crazy out there, but I'm changing the backside of my business card to start reflecting the trade stuff.
Yeah, I would switch your whole world around that, because that is a gold mine for you.
Okay, well, I'll test it tonight at City Club. I'm going to print up 24 cards, and I'll put on the backside, what does a 12-year-old know about making money in a down market or something? What would it just be honest the way I speak?
Yeah.
Okay, then that's the way I'll just come up with something. I'll sit here quietly and come up with something, how a 12-year-old
Yeah.
point line, and then if anybody says, hey, I want to know more, then
your question there is, would you like to know how a 12-year-old beat the That's your question, Jim.
Okay.
Would you like to know how a 12-year-old doubled his money while everyone else took a hit in the last 30 days? Because those people at Center Club, they know what happened in the last 30 days. So they would be very anxious to know what a 12-year-old did to double his money during that calamity.
Oh, okay. And I'm glad you triggered that, because my nephew, who's part, the parents are in there. I mean, that's part of the group. They're learning, and he was talking to a few of his coworkers, and they're like, they want to know more, and he asked me the questions. Would you be open to do a one-on-one with them? And I go like, yeah, but now I got to figure out how much to charge. And
that's your upsells. What you'll find is anyone that gets into your beginning program, there will be a percentage of them that always want more.
And the one-on-one business, not the group stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't have to offer it, but it's money that's just laying on the table waiting for you to pick it up. Okay. Because there's always people that want more. They need more help. They need more assistance. They want to do things faster. They want to fast track, and that's actually smart. The smart ones, the smartest ones of the group, will want to take your knowledge and speed it to implementation. And
right. Because when we were doing the Forrest Riley thing, what do you do, and tell me in less than 60 seconds. And my thing was, I help you learn the stock market and cut your learning curve down to make money faster. I still haven't got it smooth enough, but that was the concept. Mental concept.
Yeah, because the thing that is worth a lot to most people is speed and ease. If you can make things easy for them and you can make it faster, that's worth a lot.
And I'm realizing I can do it. Before I denied it, I used to deny it. And I was my own denier, and then the people around me were going like, "What are you talking about? You're ahead of the game."
Yeah, that's what I was. Confident. That's what I told you. You're your worst enemy, getting in your own way. There, you've got a great thing. You need to forget about everyone else's. You don't need to be promoting other people. You've got something worth promoting.
Okay, well, I'm going to put that on the card for today and go test it tonight and see how things progress from there. Thank you.
All right, sounds good.
John, I have a question.
Okay.
For Anthony. On Facebook, years ago I bought something that was supposed to help me set up something on Facebook that looked like a mini site. So if somebody had a question for customer service, they could link to us from Facebook. And I don't go into Facebook very often because honestly, it scares me every time I do. People do dumb stuff like instead of contacting us about a question with an order, they'll list it on Facebook, and it just freaks me out. So I think I would like, if I do anything on Facebook, I would love to have something that somebody that just looks like a mini site, and they can link to us and ask questions from that are more individual and personal, rather than, you know, putting something out there for all of Facebook. Is that possible?
It is, and what they're doing today, the real tool today is their messenger bot. That's really the thing. So if you got a business page set up, you can put a messenger bot on there, and then people can, that's a one-on-one conversation. I mean, they've expanded so you can do group conversation, but it's really a one-on-one conversation that you can have. I'm with you. I'm not a big I don't even have Facebook on my phone. People think I'm crazy, but you know, I'm not a Facebook fan, even though I use the ads portion to achieve a goal. So my suggestion would be is we set you up with a messenger bot on your system. And right now, a lot of people are using the messenger bot as an automated gatekeeper. So for example, you might put it on there and you might say, you know, when people respond to stuff, you do a post or something, or people have a question, and you can use it when you're talking to them. You can say, you know what, for customer service, like John was saying, put a help ticket in. You can say something similar. For customer service, go to our Facebook page and direct message us. And people that at this stage of life, people, the younger generation for sure know what that means. So they'll go on your page, they'll hit your messenger bot, and your bot can be set up to say, okay, Anthony, what do you want? Do you want sales or service? And then depending on that answer, the bot will go down that path. If you say, I want sales, it'll say, okay, do you need someone to call you? Or do you, and you can set these questions and answers up, or you can be directly answering. Right now, my own bot, I just actually have my nephew Thomas answer right away because I don't want, I just am lazy and haven't set it up to have all the automation pieces. But you can do it so you can answer it, or you can do it so it can do a lot of automation for you and segment somebody to the point where now when you do come in and answer the question, you've got a lot of the facts. They've told you they want customer service. They may have told you they won't have a problem, and then you can kind of come in and answer it that way. So that's the way they're going now versus, and some of it goes back to what I was telling you about Facebook and the current climate. Facebook's not letting a lot of people do stuff with their API and adding stuff and all that kind of connectivity and stuff like that because they've gotten in so much trouble. So that ability to connect them and build a mini site, that's probably pretty much gone now. So that chat bot, messenger bot's going to be the way to go. And what you can do, messenger bot is an app you can put on your phone and on your mobile device, your iPad, your pads and stuff like that. And you can use that to, again, real-time answer people. You can also put it on your site if you got a site, so people can go to your site, ask the question, and you can pick it up inside of Facebook on the messenger bot. And if you do it on the mobile devices, you actually don't have to log in to Facebook to do it. You log into the messenger side of the house, but you don't have to be in Facebook.
Okay, so it seems logical to me to have people be able to ask a question like that, but if there's something that is of general interest, then we could create an article or something and post that someplace.
That's that's exactly how we use it. And what I like to do, and again, all my lessons come from John, by the way, so I'm no genius, he's already thought. But what I would do is, I would turn into a video, and again, I got this SEO built into me too. So I would turn it into a video answer. So a lot of people ask me, blah, 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 how to set up a chat bot. Okay, today I'm going to walk you through setting up a chat bot. So I would post that to my Facebook page, business page. I would also, hopefully you're building up a group. You got a Facebook group you're building, and this is your tribe of inner circle people type of thing. I'd post it there. If you got it, you should have a YouTube channel. I would post it there. I'd put it on my site. So I'd repurpose this video to answer the question, because the reality of it is if one person has the question, there's going to be a lot of people that have that question, and you want to create as much of a, that you're the expert and you know the answer to that as you can. So I would take that, and then again, John Tacti, I've learned it from him. I would even advance it farther and say, take the audio track off of that video answer and turn it into a podcast and put it on. And if you have a podcast channel, and I know I throw some stuff out there that maybe, I don't know what your skill level is, stuff like that. So I may throw some stuff out there, but again, inside this group, you for sure will learn how to do it. There's a lot of people in here that can help you with some of this other stuff, including John. I know Gwen and Rustin do a lot of stuff. So if I went too fast and threw more at you than you're ready for, just know that the group can help you.
Awesome. Okay, well, I'll check back with you on it, but that certainly it helps a bunch. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, you'll want to, the modern generation, they like to go to that because it gets them some action, and you can control it. You don't actually have to be answering the phone. It cuts down your overhead for customer service because you don't have to answer the phone. You don't have to necessarily check the emails as often or get a bunch of them. I mean, it really is a chat. And most people I know are running their Facebook on their phone and stuff like that. So I know my wife uses it a lot of times when she's mad at some company, she'll jump right on their chat and send them something. And we get action so fast, it's actually kind of scary.
Wow. Okay, well, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
All right, cool. Anybody else before we wrap up? Last chance here. All right, guys. Well, we will be back.
Thank you. It was good. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We will be back with you next week. And Gwen, was that you coming through there?
Yeah, I'm just stuck on technical questions. I was going to bounce off you, but we don't need the whole forum probably.
Oh, you can go for it. It might help somebody.
Okay. My question is with time trade.
Okay.
Set it up so that I have the specific times they can connect, like what you have.
Uh-huh.
And I'm having issues trying to figure out how to get that set. I can set it like for a week, but I can't do it ongoing. So I'm stuck in time trade.
Okay. When you set it up, you can set it up for one time or you can set it up for recurring. And you want to set it up for recurring.
Recurring. Okay. I'll see if I can figure that one out.
Yeah, I think there's a little drop down. I did mine a while ago, but when you pick the date, I think there was a drop down there. Do you want to set a specific date or a recurring time? And I know when I set the recurring, it just fills the whole calendar up for the rest of the year.
So it just dropped it in. Okay.
Yeah. And then the only danger to that is you got to remember if you're going on vacation or something to go back in and eliminate those time slots.
Right. I've caught you in that one once.
Yeah. Or if you, another thing too, if you're making appointments outside of time trade, sometimes you'll get one that'll overlap there. So you got to just be careful with it.
Okay.
I know as soon as I get them on time trade, I know I slide them onto my other calendar so I don't, take another one, but I don't do it the other way around.
Okay.
So
I'll see if I can catch that box because I'm not seeing it where I am, but I'll mess around with it.
Are you on the paid membership?
Yes.
Okay. As I don't know if it's on the free one, but I know on the paid one it is.
Yeah.
So look for recurring, and if not, we can hop on Zoom and I can show you how I did it.
Okay. Well, I'm still working on trying to send out the emails for the SEMA show, and I've been going around and around with Kartra, and the latest is they don't like my list.
Oh, they won't let you import the list?
They let me import it, then they didn't approve it because I couldn't confirm that it was where it was from, so I had to use my website and blah, blah, blah. So I've got that now approved, but they want 24 hours to approve my list. And I'm like, I've been fighting you guys for 3 days.
Oh, you don't have that many, do you? How many?
22. I'm about to just do them by hand.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You could just go in and just load them in.
Now that's about what I'm about to do.
Yeah, if you just had that many, you could do that in a pretty short time frame.
In less than an hour, less than 24 hours, that's for sure.
Sure, yeah, it doesn't take any time at all to load those.
Yeah, it was just frustrating after I got it in, and then they rejected it for one reason, got through that hurdle, rejected it for another reason, finally got it approved, and they're like, okay, they'll be up in 24 hours.
Yeah, yeah. Any of the mailing programs, when you're importing a list, they want to make sure that it's not going to get them in trouble.
Well, I mean, that makes sense, but you'd
Yeah.
think you'd be able to expedite the time.
Kind of a pain.
Yeah, so that's about where I am.
Okay, well, cool. If you need to hop back on, I can show you that time trade thing. So.
Okay, let me check one more time, see if I just missed it, and then if not, I'll hop back on.
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in the top right corner of the date box. There's a drop down that says recurring.
Okay,
So,
I will look and see.
all right, sounds good. Okay, everybody, we're gonna go ahead and log out, and we'll be back on with you next week.
Thanks, John.
Okay, thanks everybody for being here.